with Sydney. And you've got like Jackson, who's just jumped on as well, who's like a bit closer to the Queensland border. It's pretty lax up his way.
Yeah. So you guys kind of have that going on too, or something maybe like open and other plops right down, right?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Crew started recording. So yeah, you want to say anything, Will?
Well, firstly, yeah, just thank you to everyone that's come from our side of things as well, but also to Lucas, like, for taking the time to do this and link both communities up, because it's such a great way to interact with other movers throughout the world. And he definitely didn't have to do it, and it's just an amazing experience for our guys to be able to be exposed to such a top tier coach. So yeah, thank you very much, mate, for doing this for our guys and sort of opening it up to something a bit different. And especially while we are in lockdown, it's nice to be able to still connect with a lot of other people, and it's good to see such a great turnout.
Yeah, and thanks for reaching out to me when you did. It couldn't have been better timing with me starting the new community up and looking to get this kind of thing going again. And it's cool to bring it together. Like, we did the side split live like a year ago. Was it a year ago? Maybe even more than that.
Yeah, it was about 12 months ago now.
Yeah, that was super fun. So I see some familiar faces on the ghetto side. So it's cool. We're going to get into some different splits today. So hopefully you guys will get some new perspectives on how I coach and approach some of the things with regards to back bending and just spine work in general. And we'll spend some time chatting for a bit afterwards if you guys want to chat more around that kind of stuff. And yeah, looking forward to it. I'll share Will the link afterwards as well for playback, so you guys can go back and check that out. And yeah, let's get into it.
Perfect.
So my headphones aren't working, of course. So I'll just talk super loud as I start to step back for warm-ups and stuff. But yeah, the idea today is to participate as much as you can. So I'll kind of take us through a little warm-up. We're going to focus on spine and back bends today. We have a variety of levels on the call, so I'm going to keep it a little more foundational, which is something that you can never have enough of anyway. So it's going to, if your back bends are maybe more advanced, then this will be a nice refresher for you. And if you haven't really spent the time working on those foundations, or you just want to pick up some finer points on working that stuff, then it'll be really good for you as well too. I will work on, I guess, what I would call a more advanced drill at the end and just showcase. I haven't really presented that exercise before. I haven't taught live in a while, so it's going to be good to get back into this. But the wall back bridge progression that I like to do, I'll present. If you want to give that a go, if you're feeling nice and warmed up, then we can go over that as well. So cool. There's a few more people jumping on, so I'll just check the screen as I go. But find some space for yourself to warm up now, and we'll take ourselves through a little joint, wrist and spine warm up. And we'll keep it pretty simple. So cool. All right, guys. I'm gonna also just change the screen so that it's just me. So if you watch the playback, you can see a little clearer. So. Okay. All right. So we're just going to do some joint work to warm up. Super simple and basic. We'll just start with some standing ankle rotations. You can just come up to a high knee. You can put your hand under the knee if you need to maintain that balance. But nice and slow. Find as much range of motion as you can through the ankle. And just go through, the feeling of like where you might feel tight. Just be aware of that and mindful of it. We'll go in both directions. So you'll switch directions. when you're ready. And then we'll go to the other side. It's also useful about these more mindless warm-ups, like those joint rotations and stuff, is it's a good opportunity to become aware of your breath. So I'm just taking some nice deep breaths and being more aware of that. We're going to change directions when you're ready. If you need support, I might need support. Falling over, you can use support. Going back to the other side, we're going to do some knee circles. So just come back up and try to draw a nice circle with your knee. Try to keep the ankle relaxed. All the work coming from the knee. Switch directions. And switching sides. Find your balance. Just drawing some circles. Keep going. I'm just going to let someone in on the call. Make sure you switch directions. Okay, back to the other leg. We're just going to do some hurdles with our leg. So we're going to do some hip hurdles, walking over and back. Just moving through as much range as I can. And switching sides. Getting all the cobwebs out. Okay, coming back to the other leg now, what we're going to do is we're going to come up into that high knee position again, and we're going to think about drawing a figure eight. And in doing so, I want you to find rotation. External rotation, internal rotation. As you come back and forth, and go the other way. Notice how the hip internally rotates as I go out, externally rotates back in. Okay, we're going to switch sides when you're ready. Same thing. Okay, and we're going the other way. Good. Now we're going to get into the upper body. We'll start with some basic shoulder circles. So we're just starting small. We'll work our way to bigger. A little bigger. Okay, let's go as big as you can. Try to maintain control here. Find the biggest circle you can and around. Okay, we're going the other direction. We'll start small. Okay, work to a bigger circle. And as big as you can. Maintain that control. Aware of your breath, right? We're all breathing. Okay, good. We're going to do some twisting circle now. So twisting circle, we're basically going to come down and around. So I'm going to have my hands overhead. I'm going to rotate to the side. And what I'm going to think about doing is opening up my arms and swinging back around. Okay, so we'll keep our feet facing forward. We'll allow that rotation to come from the trunk And I want you to just think about opening the arms and coming back around. You can make this a little more dynamic and have better intent to it as well. If when I come around, I pop up at the top. So when I come to the top, I'm going to elevate and just pop the shoulders up and back around. Okay, keep going. A few more reps there. Nathan jumped on. What's up, buddy?
So,
So we're going to get into some wrist work now, guys. So we're going to find a spot on the floor. And we're going to do some of my favorite stuff for wrist. The first thing we're going to do, we're just going to stretch out our extensors here. So I'm going to think of bringing the top of my hand flat to the floor on both sides. And I like to think about protracting my shoulders here. That's just going to put the best intention into the forearms. The shoulder blades apart. Think about pressing the top of the wrist into the ground or the mat if you have a mat. And we're just doing gentle rocks. Back and forth. Okay, flip that around. Palms are flat now. And we're going to think about the similar action. We're going to press forward. And what I want to think about here is pressing my heel down to come back. So the heel of the hand will press into the ground, push us back. Press the first knuckle into the floor. As you go forward, press the heel as you go back. And just move through a comfortable range of motion. We don't need to go into an excessive planche knee or anything like that. But really think about what's happening in the hand. Grab the floor with your wrist. Press the first knuckle down as you go forward. Press the heel as you come back. Okay, and now reverse grip. So I'm going to turn my fingers around. We're finding a nice elbow extension here. Again, good to think about protracting the shoulder blade. So we have good intentions there. And what we're going to work on here is a first knuckle raise. So first knuckle raise, you can see my hand. I'm going to have maintain a good extension. I'm going to think about lifting the heels up and back down. We're doing so with maintaining that nice elbow extension. It's going to give us a nice sensation in our flexors here, particularly nice and tight to the bicep. Doing this on both sides. You can switch when you're ready. You just jump on the call, mute your microphone so it doesn't cut out. All right, so now we're going to go into another nice extensor stretch here. We're going to be emphasizing a closed fist. So the closed fist action, what I want you to be thinking about doing on this is keeping your thumb pressed in on the index and middle finger. Okay, this is going to be important as we find extension. Because what the feedback we will get is if we're particularly tight in the extensors, we won't be able to straighten our arm without letting that go. So it gives you a nice feedback on how much restriction you have there. And what we can do is just gently glide that open as far as we can. This is a great stretch that you can work on if you're particularly tight in that straight arm every day. So close fists together, bent arm coming down. We're going to lift up and try to find as much extension of the elbow as we can. And come back down, and we're only moving to the height where I can keep my thumb pressed on the index and middle fingers. So if that comes loose, that's my signal that I'm going too far, right? So stay in that range, stay locked in there. Keep it nice and strong on your extensors. We can rock back and forth a little bit. Loosen that up. Okay, so a little wrist series. We're going to do some basic spine work now. We'll start with some seal push-up work, and we'll move back and forth from a child's pose to the seal position. If you want to take notes on this, it's like a pretty standard type warm-up I would do for a back bend session. So some nice dynamic work in the shoulders, get the legs and joints moving nicely, and then looking to get the wrists and the trunk nice and warm before we get into more of the specific stuff. So for that seal push-up, guys, we are coming down and looking to lift the trunk up with a straight arm, or finding as much of a straight arm as we can. So in doing this, I want to think about squeezing the glutes to protect the back, looking up with the head, and then lowering back down. If we're particularly limited there, we can come more into this Sphinx position like this, and just think about lifting up and pulling our belly button up towards the ceiling. Let's move through that for 5 reps or so, catching your breath. Bracing the low back, keeping the glutes nice and strong. Now we'll move to child's pose. And we'll play around a little bit here with shoulder flexion and some T-spine extension. So what we can do here, if we have a nice surface, is we can just slide forward a little bit and let the shoulders move into more extension. So as I come forward, we're going to think about more T-spine extension. Come back, nice flex spine. Breathe out. Slide back. Can't slide here, I can also crawl forward and back, but just think about moving from child's pose. Think about dropping the chest down towards the floor and sliding back into nice spinal flexion. Just go through that for a couple more reps. It's a breath in when we come back, breath out as we move forward, okay? Similar to our back bridge. When we're doing a back bridge, as we move forward, we're taking that breath out. We're trying to find that nice extension through the T-spine. Couple more reps, guys. Okay, so we're going to move now into the twisting bear exercise. So it's a great warm-up for back bridge. And we can extend this position to an even further position where traditionally the twisting bear is basically a rotation around, and you're creating like a tabletop. So what we can do is make it more of an arc, like a back bridge, okay? So we can make it more specific in how we kick the leg through and externally rotate that shoulder. So as I come through the top, I'm going to think about that external rotation, and I'm going to move in such a way that I would even just think about going into a back bridge. Almost like if I was going to go right around, and I'm switching sides. Gliding. So look at that gentle glide with my arm on top as if I'm going all the way to a bridge, and then switching sides. Think about your breath here, guys. Exhale. Come back. I also really like that exercise holding a light weight like a club or a light dumbbell. as you sweep across, you can really feel the chest, shoulders, and back open up a lot more. So I'm just going to reposition my camera here now, and we want to be close to a wall. We're going to do some work on the wall. Back on basic back bending work. I'm just repositioning myself so you guys can see the wall. So we are going to do a little triplet now. This triplet, guys, this is a reflection of the flexibility strength protocol method that I use. So I use that method in a lot of different applications for flexibility training, side split, front split, shoulder work. A lot of the members on Range of Strength membership that are on the call know these kind of rotations. So we're going to move through 3 movements in kind of like a circuit fashion. Each movement is going to help the next movement, and it's going to help us create more space for the bridge. Okay. So the first movement is a standing trunk reach. So what we're doing here is I'm going to use the wall for feedback. My back bridge. And what I'm looking to do is to basically move into a very soft back bend. So a standing reach. Think about reaching overhead. At first, we want to think about being close to the wall. So when we're close to the wall, I'm going to get really nice feedback from the wall on how I'm segmenting, okay? So think about segmenting here. So I'm going to move from the tops of my fingers, then the neck, the chest, the abdominal wall. It's all peeling, like I'm peeling off of the wall, okay? Once we get comfortable with that kind of range, we can then look to use this for tactile feedback for the hips. Because when we do standing back bend work or standing trunk reach, we want to think about that leverage, that when I start to move back, I have to move my hips forward. Okay? So it's nice feedback there for the hips to move into the wall. What I want you to think about doing here with the pelvis is setting your pelvis up with a posterior tilt. Okay? That is going to ensure that we don't move into the low back right away, but rather keeping us strong in the glutes, supporting the low back so that we can focus on segmenting better from the trunk, the abs, the shoulders, and the chest. So I want you all to try 5 reps of that right now and move through a range that's comfortable. So find as much elevation as you can, tuck the tail. And peel back. Okay. If you feel comfortable to step away from the wall, bring your hips towards the wall. We're looking to complete 5 reps there. Once you've completed your 5 reps, we're going to move into the kneeling extension. Okay. So have a look here at the kneeling extension. Just consider this first round through like our preparation round. We're going to go through this a couple rounds and just get a little more sweaty with it. So for kneeling extension, guys, we're looking to find the kneeling position on the floor so that we can shut the arms down and really work from the hips. What I want you to really work on here is challenging your end range by moving into more knee flexion and hip flexion. So if I stay in hip and knee alignment, it would be pretty easy for me to find range. If I move as much flexion of the knee as possible, bringing that knee towards my chest more, tucking into a nice posterior tilt, it's going to be much more challenging. Okay. What I want you to work on here is a 10-second hold, just a 10 count. And then I want you to pulse 5 times. So
it would look a little more like this. I'm trying to maintain alignment of my femur, keeping a nice posterior tilt here. And then I'm going to think about pulsing 5 times at the end and then switching.
So I want to see your foot barely coming off the ground. That's going to tell me you found your end range, okay? So you can really sink into that bent knee and experiment with where that end range is for you. I want to see those knees nice and straight. No arches in the back here. We're keeping a nice flat back, much more complementary to the trunk reach. So now we're being a little more agonistic to the hip flexors, trying to get them to relax a little bit more before we do some bending. Do both sides. It's a great drill also if you have ankle weights. You can wrap those around the ankle and just like never stop training that end range in basic hip extension. Great complementary drill to other hinging patterns like RDLs or deadlifts between sets. Okay, so everyone's up from that. So the third exercise. I'm going to move us through the whole series together as a unit after we all know the exercises. So the third one here, we're going to be doing a side stretch on the wall. So we're going to be looking to get into the lats and obliques. Lateral flexibility plays a role in our back bridge movement. So the setup here, I'm going to take this leg that's closest to the wall, I'm going to tuck it in. And what I'm going to think about doing here is being far enough away from the wall that I can find the best stretch through the shoulder and lat. What I'm going to do is take a nice reach overhead, hanging onto this knee, and then bring my palm into the wall and look to move deeper into the stretch. And we can experiment with this by turning our chest towards the wall and then moving the chest forward. And in a way, we just kind of gently floss the obliques and lats. You'll notice that when you move towards the wall, what I'll be able to do is pull my rib cage down more. And then when I move forward again, I'll get just a little bit better of a stretch sensation. Okay, let's switch sides there. So again, you have to look at me seeing that setup. So the leg is closest to the wall, good femur alignment with the hip. Grab that knee with my opposite hand, reach up, palm the wall, and move into the stretch to find comfort. Once you've found a comfortable position, think about gently flossing, moving the chest towards the wall, pulling the rib cage down, and then pulling the chest forward. So it's kind of like a rotation, right? All right. So you guys got the 3 exercises? So now we're going to go through them as a unit. We'll go through it together. I'll count us through it. So in position for our standing trunk reach, we're going to do 5 reps on my count. So find your position. Again, remember those cues. You're either glued to the wall and you're peeling, or you step away and you're still peeling, but you're thinking about counterbalancing the hips into the wall for that feedback. Everybody ready? So arms nice, reach overhead, tuck the pelvis in. And 1. So we're going to reach back. Coming back forward to the wall. 2. Think about peeling, just like a reverse Jefferson curl. 3. Reach higher and higher as you go. If you were to go in a full back bend, we want that max strength. 4. and 5. Okay, so now we're getting down, kneeling hip extension. I'll wait till everyone's in position and we're going to do a 10-second hold. On my go. It's always better when the coach is controlling the tempo, right? So posterior tilt, tuck the pelvis in, find your end range and lift. Make sure you're breathing. Think about reaching the toes further behind you, not lifting higher. Keep reaching. And pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's switch sides, guys. No rush, switch sides. Make sure you're locked in, nice and secure. And we're gonna lift, reaching behind us. Don't reach up, reach back, tuck the pelvis. And pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's find the side stretch on the wall. So just to review, if you need to look at me, one leg is out, one leg is in. The leg that's in is closest to the wall, grabbing with opposite side, reaching up, palm into the wall, chest in, pull ribs down, push the palm and reach forward. Five reps here, so that's 3, 4, 5. Exhale and switch sides. That wall side stretch is a great daily stretch too. If you guys are looking for some more daily drills to add in. Ready? So rotate in, breath in, exhale forward. 1. Think about reaching higher. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's stand up for our trunk reach. We're going to go through one more round, and then we're going to review some back bend work more specifically. Good job, guys. So we're going to reach high, tuck the pelvis, find a nice position, and 1, segment the spine. Let your neck lead. 2, 2. No rush here. 3, make sure the glutes are switched on. Good job, Lauren. 4, and 5. So we're coming down for the kneeling extension. So find your end range, move into nice hip flexion, knee flexion. Find that end range. We're going to lift when we're ready and up. Keep the back posteriorly tilted. We're holding for 10. 3, 2, 1, and pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're switching sides. Move into as much hip flexion as you can to find your end range. And we're going to lift. If you lifted early, that's too bad. You have to hold for the 10. And 3, 2, 1, and pulse. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Side stretch on the wall, guys. Find that kneeling hurdler stretch. It's basically a hurdler stretch position. Opposite arm is going to grab the knee. You're going to do like a shoulder carves, right? So you remember when I was doing that, like reach up and then rotate around. Find your palm on the wall. Now we're going to move in for 1. Breathe out, coming forward. For 2, move in, breathe out, rotate forward. Reach higher each time. 3, 4, 5. Good job. See some kids running around with sticks. That looks like my basement usually when I'm not teaching. Switching sides. Lateral flexibility is the overlooked work of the spine for sure. So turn in, tuck the ribs, breathe out, move forward for 1. Do it again. Move forward for 2. 3. 4. And 5. Just reaching a little bit more each time. Awesome. So I guess the thing about what we've done up until now is this, a lot of all of these exercises can be categorized into our back bend work, maybe just our spine work, our shoulder work as well, like bringing it all together. You can organize it a lot of different ways. If you get really familiar and comfortable with that flexibility protocol type application, you can have a lot of fun experimenting with all the different ways that you can go through a little triplet for shoulders, spine, and back bridge. It's even fun to do like more specific back bridge work in that manner. So think about like, we're going to do some back bridge work now. We're going to, but you could do like an elevated bridge into a wall stretch, into hip extension, and you kind of fit in an active recovery that's going to actually help you towards your back bridge, right? And if you were struggling on that kneeling extension, you got some work to do on those glutes. We really need the glutes for the back bridge. That's a question that comes up a lot too. Like, am I going to get my glutes trained when I train flexibility? Well, if you get into back bridge, you're definitely going to feel your glutes if you're doing it right. So we are going to start with a half bridge for our specific work. And we're going to do a lot of this specific work with a little bridge exercise and more of a Jefferson curl flexion kind of regression. So we're going to pair the two together and just show you how that can be done in such a way where it's a really nice series. So first what we're going to do is a half bridge. The half bridge is a beautiful exercise. We can't do it enough when we're trying to do back bridge, recondition it and introduce it to ourselves. But we're thinking about a glute bridge position, and we're actually thinking more about finding more extension, more of an arc, than having just the glute switched on with a flat kind of board type mechanic. If you can't grab your ankles, you may want straps or a band or something like that can really help you pull, because what we want to leverage here, find that nice arc, is that pulling action with the arms. So the arms are pulling to allow us to find a nice trunk extension. You should feel nice and open now with what we did. So just to review, so you can see, I'm basically going to be getting into a glute bridge, but obviously I want my legs in as close as possible. So the wall can be helpful for that. I'm really close to the wall, so I can like tuck my glutes in as close as I can to my heels, keeping my feet pressed into the wall. Then even when I come down, I'm going to really think about bringing my ankles as close as possible. So again, if you can't grab the front of the ankles, I would wrap a band around that or use a yoga strap or something like that. And what I'm thinking about doing here is as I lift, before you find my max lift, as I lift, I'm going to dig those shoulders and imagine bringing my shoulders towards my heels. So shoulders are coming down towards my heels, tucking my chin, breath out. And on that breath out, it's not necessarily a vertical lift. What you're thinking about doing is extending the hip and moving back like we do in a back bridge. And if you're doing it right, your rear delts and shoulders will start to float a little bit, and you'll be able to retract back even further. So we are going to start with that half bridge hold. And if you haven't trained your half bridge, then you might feel this quite a bit on a 60-second hold, but you should be able to hold this easily for 60. That's what my expectation would be if we're doing back bridge. Easy 60-second half bridge. So when we're ready, grab those ankles. You need your straps, use your straps. And it's all about that pull with the arms to allow you to find more extension. So what we're gonna do first is lift the hips so you can dig your shoulders in more. So lift the hips and bring the shoulders down closer towards your heels. Now you're ready to take a breath in and exhale and push up to your highest peak. Think about doing so with your hip flexors moving into more extension. Glutes are squeezed, breathing, nice calm breath. And we'll do our best to hold for 60. We're at 20 seconds. So check yourself as you're holding to make sure you're keeping that height too, right? So we don't want to let the hips drop. We're at 30 seconds. Halfway point, keep breathing. Keep pulling with your arms too. Don't get lazy with your arms. Pull down, lift higher. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1, and we're gonna come down slowly. So what we're gonna pair with our half bridge is the half Jefferson. The half Jefferson curl is a great upper back exercise. We're basically just gonna position the pelvis in such a way that's gonna shut down that lower body a little bit more so we can just focus on segmenting the upper body, okay, and the upper back. So if you do have a weight, you can use it. If you don't, you can just clasp your hands together and kind of make like a pistol, kind of use it in such a way like you're pointing down. Here, you'll see that what I'm actually going to look to do, so the dumbbells hanging between my legs here. From a full stand, I'm going to move into a posterior tilt. So I'm going to posterior tilt the pelvis and then bend the knees and try to find even more posterior tilt. Throughout this whole exercise, we don't want to lose this. So I'm going to focus on just segmenting the upper body, but I'm not going to move the legs to try to like move down further. So what it should look like, we're hanging onto that position nicely, nice strong posterior tilt. So the neck and shoulders, and I'm going to reach down just as far as I can, maintain that, and come back up. And focus on that segment of the spine. One vertebrae at a time. So when you're ready, we're going to do 5 reps, okay? So if you don't have weight, you can just make your hands clasped like this, and you can think about the pistol and just think about reaching down towards the ground with your index fingers. So when you're ready, so posterior tilt, we'll do 1, roll the neck, then the shoulders. Feel the trunk move into flexion as much as possible. You want to really reach hard there. And then back up, guys. Make sure you come back up. We shouldn't be able to pass the knees here, really, if we're posterior tucking nicely. 2. That's better. 3. 4. You guys are doing great. So we do want to bend the knees here. We want to bend the knees to keep that posterior tucked. Is that 4 or 5? Good. Someone's keeping count. Awesome. Good work, guys. Now what we will do, everyone's feeling good? I move pretty quick when I train range. Sorry if you guys are used to yoga stuff, but I go a little quicker. We're going to do a low bridge hold. So low bridge hold, take what we just gained from the half bridge, and we're going to bring the hands into the picture. So low bridge, so important for us to master that tripod position in the bottom. And that tripod position, it's much like a headstand. If you've done a headstand, that's basically what we're doing, but we're from the back. So we have to tuck the head back and create that nice tripod. And we're thinking about how we're depressing the shoulders and pulling the arms in. So this is the strongest position for us to create in the low bridge position. That's going to carry over into our full back bend, okay? It's going to give us a lot of strength. And usually it's, even for people that can do a straight arm back bend, it's a very deconditioned point that we want to work on. So just to give you a little example first, and then we'll get into a little hold. What I'll also do is just show you some strategies. If you can't hold for too long, I'll show you the low bridge and then just talk about strategy for getting the most out of the set, okay? So that same half bridge setup. So I'm thinking about getting those legs in as far as possible. Get them really tucked in towards the glutes. Find not maximum extension here, but I'm lifting my hips so that I can bring my hands easier into position. So I am trying to find as much range as possible behind me. When I reach, I'm going to tuck my elbows in, and I'm going to move into that tripod. So my head is actually on the ground right now. I'm securing my position. Elbows are in, and I'm going to lift from right there. Now, maybe you can't even see me lift, but the low bridge hold is just so that our head is just off the ground, like barely, like it's hovering, okay? That's going to give us the most specific strength for that low bridge position. And strategy, I'm going to just start the clock and run it for 30 seconds so you get the most out of it, okay? Move back into your tripod and basically just work on reps. So if I was to say do this to technical failure, I would want you to push up and hold. If you only got 5 seconds, rest in your tripod, find your breath, lock everything back in, and then try to do another one and just make the most out of the set. Okay, let's keep our legs in a nice neutral position. Let's not get too funky with the legs. We want to feel the legs pressing, but all the strength is in our arms now. So when you're ready, find your tripod first, okay? We'll try to move the head back. And if we can't find the tripod, we just do our half bridge hold. We just do another set of our half bridge. Okay, so you can think about strategy here. The nice thing is that once you're up, you guys can, like, we got like 15 more seconds. You can make the most out of it or come down if you're ready. But once we are up in that tripod, we can think about repositioning the hands and such, okay? So like, if I'm a little bit more broad in the shoulders and I could only get my hands here in my tripod, but once I'm in that tripod, I can then think about just quickly making an adjustment to my hands. You can come down, okay? So those are some things we want to think about when you're in that low bridge. So if you create that tripod first, you have an opportunity now with your head being at rest to reposition the hands and think about how you can best leverage based on your makeup. We can talk more about that stuff at the end too. Now we'll do the full Jefferson. So we're going to reach for the floor. If you're holding like a dumbbell or a kettlebell, you don't need to stand on a big box or anything, but I can just hold it in such a way that I can, like hold underneath the kettlebell or whatever you have. If you don't have any weight, we can again use the pistol fingers reaching for the ground. And we're just going to look to do that Jefferson curl same way we did the half Jefferson, start from the neck and shoulders, and all the way to the floor, or to the height where we feel comfortable. If that's just to the knees and back, that's fine. If you also want to have a soft bend in your knee right now, that is fine. Segment your spine as best as you can and try to find a nice stretch in the hamstrings. Just doing 5 reps. Zercher position's good too. Jacob and Nathan have a little Zercher carry type hold. I had an interesting conversation with Strongman Archaeology about Zercher deadlifts versus Jefferson curls. You might see a debatable post come out soon from him. If you don't follow him, follow him. I'm doing 5 reps. Jefferson curls feel so good that you forget to count, right? You just keep going. That's probably good there, guys. Awesome. So let's make the most out of one more set. So we have a couple options here now. Like this class, we're focusing on the foundation of the low bridge. It's very important. So like if anything you take from this is like the importance of like how strong we want to be in that low bridge position. Opens a lot of doors as well. Once you have a full bridge and you think about movement, if you wanted to create movement from low to high bridge, we want to be super strong here. But what we can do now, we have a couple options. So one, if low bridge was just like, all right, that was too hard, I couldn't find a comfortable position, go to your half bridge, train your half bridge again, get another set in there. Think about the strategy that I was talking about where you can come back down, or think about readjusting your tripod. If your tripod didn't feel very good, just think about how you might move the hands closer once you're in that tripod or make it a wider position. If you're feeling super good in that low bridge, what I want you to try now is marching with your feet. So we're just going to create instability in the bridge. This is a really great way to introduce the strength of movement in a bridge. If we were to get into rotations in bridge and things like that, it's a really soft skill from the ground. So one way we can do that is just heel lifts. So if I come down, my low bridge hold, lifting my heels up to create stability and holding. If I am going to march, I want the legs to be a lot closer together, because if my legs are too far apart, I won't be able to march without rolling around. But I want you to experiment with that now. I'm just going to run the clock for 30. And I want you to just play around with that. Either just get into another low bridge position, try some pulsing, get into low bridge, and do some heel lifts. Think about the head being just off of the ground. And if you're doing the marching or lifts, you'll really feel the glutes and low back switch on. Very good, guys. Come down when you want to. Good job. Another reason why low bridge is so important is we're really in a position now where, okay, we're upside down with it in a like supinated position. Like it's so awkward that the low bridge gives us a chance to think about what's going on. Like now we're like, oh, my legs are over here, and this is how I use my legs. Oh, my elbows are just like way out here. I can pull them in. I can think about all these positional cues that'll really help carry over into the strength of our bridge. Just give us an opportunity to think about like, oh crap, I'm upside down. What is happening in my body? So these are a couple good strategies for that. For this last little fold, I'm going to show you one that I've been playing around with, the cross leg fold. It's like a cross leg side bend, but we're actually folding forward. So it's a little bit more of a forward fold. The cross leg side bend is like a lateral bend, but we can use that same cross leg position and get a really nice application in the stretch of our lower back and TFL in just a different way. So you see how my legs are crossed here? And the front foot is about mid-aligned mid-foot with the back foot. So the back foot is mid-foot to that front one. To find the stretch first, we're going to bend into the front knee as much as possible. So I'm really pushing that knee, and if I do it right, the back leg stays straight. It starts to push out naturally. I'm really pushing into that front knee. Once I have done
position and I feel stable, I'm going to fold. And in that fold, I'm maintaining that. Keep the front leg bent as you fold. Come all the way back up to full extension. This leg in the back stays straight. As I go down, I'm bending into the front leg. You'll get a super sensation through the glutes and TFL if you're doing it right. Right on the side here. Let's keep going, a couple more reps. So bend into that front leg like you're going to lunge. Bring all the weight into the front. Push, push, push. Come all the way back up. Keep pushing the bent knee. Awesome. When you're ready, you can switch legs. Same thing. You need to see my feet again. So front leg, bend as much as possible to find that stretch. Then we're going to fold. You'll feel the hamstring come in as well. And then back up till you find all that extension in the hip. Good one to add to the daily movement as well if you're doing a little daily limber. Just feels so good. You got to come all the way back up. That really finishes it. Keep the front leg doing the work, bend into the front leg. Awesome stuff. So that is a nice little, beginner intermediate type series for shoulders, spine, and like starting to introduce back bends. I'd like to leave some time now for some Q&A. We can talk about, keep the topic on the back bends. Like a lot of how I coach and teach back bridge training and bends and stuff, that comes a lot from my own practical experience, because where I'm located in Eastern Canada, there's no ghetto movement gyms out here. It's powerlifting gyms or commercialized gym. No one's doing back bends. I went to a circus school when I first got into this stuff, and it was way too advanced. Like there was no way I was going to be able to do any of that stuff. So my journey came from doing stuff online with coaches and programs and trying to figure all that out on my own. And for someone who, had a powerlifting background, I couldn't even get my hands behind me. Like to do a low bridge, I couldn't even. It was quite a journey. It took me 2 years of hard work, consistent work to get into a full bridge. I did, throughout that journey, travel around and hook up with people that could help me further after, I started getting nowhere with it. But a lot of that approach there with the low bridge stuff is how I approach introducing back bridge and ensuring that some of those basics, when we talk about the basics, we ensure that the basics are really there. In the low bridge, with all the people I have helped get into more focused back bridge training and improving that capacity, it comes from developing that strength in the low bridge first. You can get up into an elevated bridge, and if you have a spotter, like I share a lot about how to spot into a bridge and that kind of thing. But really honing in on that strength in the low bridge position, it will carry you quite far if you're new to the game with the back bends. The ghetto movement community, you'd be lucky to be in that gym atmosphere where you can get a spot for going up into an elevated bridge and like learning some of those capacities, because you can accelerate quite a bit further. But if you're like I was and you're just like in your basement trying to figure this stuff out all the time, and you can't really go to the gym to do it because no one's doing it, it really came down to really developing that low bridge strength. Take you really far if you really work on that. Do you guys have any questions? You can unmute and ask any questions about back bends or anything like that.
Yeah, would you be training this stuff like every day, like moving through it, or is it just like a 1 day a week spine day type?
I guess the presentation today was like, you could do a lot of what we did today every day. Like we, trying to consider that we're doing low grade activity with minimal equipment. It depends on your training schedule. Like I've always trained
bridge really extensively once a week. And that's because
Yeah.
when I train bridge, I still get crazy sore. So I need more recovery time. I've just always, I get pretty jammed up when I do bridge, so I have to recover a bit more from it. And I guess that's also because, guys, I train bridge pretty hard now, where I'm like trying to do a walkover. I don't know if I'll ever do it, but I'm doing some funky stuff that's like, it's kind of sketch sometimes. But even when I started out and I was doing these kind of sessions, I was doing them once a week with other type of sessions. So my strength work, my lower body flexibility and strength stuff. So once a week was always enough for me.
Yeah, okay, sweet. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, man, really like the drills we did at the beginning, especially
Mhm.
that one there with the foot over. Said it was a hurdler stretch, lean. Forget what you called that.
Side stretch. Yeah,
One
side
where you're
stretch.
leaning on the wall this way.
Yeah, side stretch on the wall.
Yeah, that one really helped. It was really good. But you're talking about strength in the low bridge.
Hmm.
You were talking about like isometric strength, just holding that for a set amount of time.
I've found that 20-second mark consistently and easily whenever you want is like a really good milestone.
Okay.
You clear? So yeah, just from myself and working with people, it's usually when you get that low bridge built up to like a nice solid 20-second hold isometrically, you start to see stuff really start to happen in your elevated bridge.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yo,
Hey,
Hey, bro. Can you see me?
yeah, how you going?
How you going, legend? Yeah, good, man. I just had a quick question. With the backbend bridge, if you've got access and the mobility to reach a full bridge, but you don't quite, like, for example, those first few drills starting in a low bridge, I was like, my quads were gassing like low in that space, but then I do have mobility to get into a full backbend bridge. Would you say it'd be more of a priority to focus on that foundation of a low bridge over the full range bridge and then work your way up to that, even though I might have the ability to get there at this point?
Yeah, and it'll come down to you probably having to do that at some stage anyway. That's,
Yeah,
you know, because you'll start to stall in like where you're going with your bridge. Ultimately, if you just want to hold a bridge and just say like I have that space and that access. But if you want to do something with it, like if you want to get
in order
into,
to use it, yeah.
if you want to do some rotations in bridge, you want to get into how you can access it more regularly, maybe moving from a sissy squat to a bridge. All these kind of capacities, it'll come down to those basic foundations.
Yeah, cool.
And
Thanks,
it's good.
Ledge.
Yeah, it's good to know if you get sidetracked for whatever reason. If there's a setback, you know you have the capacity to build back up that way. You know.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely like a little bit of a wake up call, eh? Like even just trying to hold that low space for 60 seconds, I was so surprised how fast my quads were gassing out. So,
Yeah, I would say
it was interesting.
like if you can do a full bridge work quite easily, at least explore that single leg low bridge stuff more regularly, because you know even that getting into single leg bridge holds, it's a whole different kind of stimulus and creating that balance from when you'll notice like one glute's not even firing. Like if you want to,
Yeah, for sure.
you learn something about how your glutes are firing, do a single leg bridge hold. Your glutes will be switched on for 2 weeks.
The basics first, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you can never have
No
enough.
worries, bro. I appreciate it, legend.
No worries. Thanks for jumping on. Any other questions, guys? Any other back bridge stuff? Cool. Some people have it pretty late at night in other parts, but I know you guys are getting your day going. So thanks for jumping on. I am going to post up the recording, give it to Will, and I'll share it out in the Range of Strength community as well for playback if you want to go through some of that stuff. But yeah, I really appreciate hooking up with you guys again. If you know me on Instagram, reach out. I'll always reply and always down to chat shop. So right on. Thanks for jumping on. Connect with you soon. Thanks, Nathan.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Lucas.
Luke.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Men